Welcome to A-Zenith, where we explore life in Dubai one letter at a time. We're unfiltered, unapologetic, and authentic. I'm your host, Bilal Mohammed, and in this episode, we're diving into A for Aunty, and I'm thrilled to have none other than Simone with me. Simone is the founder of No Common Sense, a new fragrance brand that has just launched in Dubai, and she'll be showing us how to live our lives as authentically as possible. She is the audacious auntie with all the answers. Welcome to the podcast!
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Bilal. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas,
Happy New Year.
all the things. Thank you for having me. This is my first.
Of course. I'm glad it's with us. The best magazine.
Cannot think of anyone better. I am so excited. Honestly, you've made my year already. Thank you so much.
Yay! I'm so glad. Well, thank you so much for being so open to being on the podcast and having such a unique title for the pod. And yeah, A for Auntie. What does that mean to you? Because that to me means something, I guess, different to what you would say.
Well, there's a lot of overlap, I feel, with the Asian, Indian, Caribbean, African community. When we say auntie, it is someone obviously of a respect. Doesn't even have to be blood. We've all grown up, if you're in that community mostly, that's an auntie. It's just like your mum's friend, but you've got to respect them anyway. And they're probably not that nice, probably quite rude, but you just have to sit there and take it because they're older than you.
All the time, get that.
I'm not really here for this, but apparently if you say anything, you're strident and your parents have failed. So, you have to just take it. I want to turn that on its head a bit. I would rather be the auntie. I've got young nieces now. I'm 42, nearly 43. Excuse me, 82. I don't know what that makes me these days, apart from in a certain age bracket that I have to tick on forms now that's over 40. It's fine. Age is a privilege denied to many. I can live with it. But now that I am auntie and people calling me auntie as in they're little people looking up to me, and auntie just as a matter of deference.
Yeah.
What does that look like? And what does that mean these days? Because it wasn't great always growing up, because like I said, you're expected to respect people simply because of age. Doesn't necessarily mean wisdom or kindness. So what does being an auntie look like to our generation now? What do we want to do better?
You're so right, because when I was growing up, I was always told to respect my elders because they are older than me. And then most of the time, the things they say, yeah, it kind of does make sense, but it shouldn't just be because they're older. They should
as a default.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, I agree with you completely, Bilal. So for me, it means that I've been in a fair amount of trouble because you're not meant to talk back, and children are seen, not heard. And I'm always like, I don't think that that's fair. Respect should be a two-way street. I don't understand why you get to sit there and make digs. And I would see it happen with friends, with their aunties as well, and making comments about their weight, about their lack of partner, about where are the children coming, and, oh, you're a career girl. And it all seems so old-fashioned. And now I understand, obviously, we've got more tools and we talk about more things. Previous generations have carried so much trauma, but I am here to be a generational curse breaker. I am not going to do what was done to me by so many older women in the workplace of every nationality and background have not been my friend in the workplace. Women have really let me down in the workplace. And how you want to be towards a younger generation. And let's face it, some of the things that I see on podcasts, I'm like, the younger generation is a mess.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so glad I am not in that pool, because this pool, when they say there are plenty of fish in the sea, the fish have 3 eyes at least. Radioactive.
Also, side note, I love this cup you're drinking. And what are you drinking?
Thank you so much. I'm actually having a Parma Violet gin. This is just a random flamingo cup that someone got me because it's pink and gold, and someone clearly thought it was me.
So you went to the Brits Academy in London. That's correct, right?
I did, very briefly, after being booted out of A-levels. I was booted out of A-levels. We'll just leave it at that. I auditioned to get into the Brit School. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the era of Adele and Amy Winehouse.
Yeah,
Woman. Oh, God, it's just of all people to join the 27 Club, I used to pray it would never be her. Her music has just had such an impact on me growing up, and still to this day, how long ago did she do the album Frank? I think that was 2003, right? We're talking 22 years ago. It's just so unfair, but I digress. So yes, I interviewed and auditioned and jazz-handed, and despite my very theatrical nature, it wasn't musical theatre, it was just theatre, because I've always loved writing. So I want to be behind the scenes, creating things. I see scenes in my head just as a thing, which is exhausting, but quite handy when you're trying to do a brand or something, because I can see in my head what I'm trying to get out, which is exhausting for people. So I went there and I dropped out after a year, unfortunately, and bullying from everywhere, so that I ended up not completing my time there.
No, did you say bullying? Oh no, I think that always happens in London schools. It seems to be a pretty terrible issue.
It doesn't leave, no matter how far you go. I had it the entirety of secondary school, and I was really looking forward to hopefully a change. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason. It's exhausting, but character building, and it's a shame because you shouldn't have to have such a tough exterior. It comes in handy now, but at the time, all you want is friends. All you want is an ally. All you want is to fit in. And the issue that can arise when you're mixed is you occupy so many unique spaces, and everybody's experience is different purely because of where you were raised. My Hackney mixed race friends have not had the Southeast London, which is what I've had. It might as well be a different planet. When I went there, I was really hoping for a new start. Didn't work out, but happy memories mostly.
Exactly. So, okay, side note, probably don't know this, but I really love Leona Lewis. That's been my lifelong crush. I will forever love her. She has a special place in my heart.
Love her. And her Christmas song is my favourite Christmas song ever. One More Sleep, start in this house from October. It is very inaccurate because it's clearly not One More Sleep, but I will play it for 2 weeks straight. Christmas is my favourite time of year. The tree has only just gone down. I love her. Love her. And my grandmother's family on my mum's side, on my maternal side, are Irish. They're from County Antrim originally. My mum is stunning, lily white skin, blue eyes, had black hair to her waist. Can't imagine what my dad saw in her. And my dad is Chinese, the same as Leona's parents. Yeah. She's
Leona, if you're watching, please be a cover star for Zenith.
Please,
it's not my mood. Please do it.
Do it. She's so stunning, and she's always handled herself with such grace. And it's not something that we see a lot of, where there's almost a quiet stoicism, and people have been really unkind. I remember when she first came out, people were, she's boring, she's dull. No, she's not.
Her voice was probably the best voice that came out of the UK.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Where are the props?
No.
This is what annoys me, because when you hear people talking about the music industry and even like the comedy stand-up industry, you look at London Hughes, why people, Gina Yashir, I mean, icon.
I love Gina.
Gina has been an icon forever from life. I mean, this woman, I am buzzing when I see how well she's just smashing it with her own sitcoms and getting the paper she is deserving of. In America, why do we have to do that? Why do people have to go over the pond to get what they should? Is ridiculous. But I think it's almost like a tall poppy syndrome that happens a lot in British media, is you get too big, they cut you down, they just want to pick on you for the fun of it. And I thought the kind of headlines that Leona used to get is just so unnecessary. It's spiteful. It's just a mean girl culture, because they know that meanness sells way more clicks than being nice.
The thing was, if she had gotten my personal belief is, if she had sorry, my phone just fell. If she had gotten famous like now, in like late 2015, she would have done so well. And like, her career would have propelled. But her voice is just iconic. I think Leona Lewis, Jessie J, one of the best singers in the UK that have come out of the UK. Jessie J, no matter who people, her voice is phenomenal.
Again, why the meanness? Why the hate? What for? You know, it's so exhausting. And again, it's almost that auntie thing of going, I can't bear the thought of my nieces going through this because I was having this at school. You know, I got jumped holding my little brother in my arms and I still kicked him side.
Yeah,
But
good.
holding a child in my arms, you know, and her excuse for kicking off this fight was a boy was more interested in her at my birthday party.
Wow, is that it?
We were a teen and I used to go to Scouts with Rodney. Like, seriously. Listen, all
Rodney, if you're
girls.
listening.
Like, Rodney Brown, all your fault that Natalie attacked me with Kieran in my arms. The absurdity is wild, and it starts in the playground, and you end up with this cycle of the mean girl mums then go and do exactly the same with their kids, and so on and so forth. I have no doubt that all of my childhood bullies are really lousy parents. There'll be a handful, maybe a couple of them may have grown into being a better human, but mostly no. You know, and you see how people engage online. There is this weird, incessant, I've just got to say, because I'm entitled to my opinion. You are, but what you lack is wit, wisdom, and conviction.
Yeah.
Why do you have to say it?
Exactly.
There are women literally having their voices taken away from them in Afghanistan, quite literally have had their voices stolen from them. And here you are with your voice, using it, slag somebody off online you've never met. I'm entitled to my opinion. It's a democracy. You couldn't spell democracy, let alone anything else. And here they are, so determined. I need to say what I need to say because it's really important. It's not. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary?
None of the above.
None of the above, but it's still really determined, as though it's this weird entitlement, and I don't get it because you could do so much good with that level of vim and energy. We could have 1,000 more female politicians. Why do people behave in this nasty, and it isn't just women, you know, guys I've seen acting like a lemon online as well, but I can drag them for any day. It's always so disappointing when you see women dogpiling.
Yeah.
This is the toxic side of the whole auntie culture. I don't want to be that auntie. I don't want to be that auntie. I don't want my nieces ending up being bullies, and I don't being bullied either, because it's just incessant now online. It's not going anywhere. Exactly. You know, school was bad enough, but now it's 24/7. Nothing switches off, right? So that's the big fear.
I think the schools these days. So I was, like you, very bullied in school. I had a really horrible time. Someone actually threw me in a bin.
Yeah.
I was in I don't remember how old I was. And I had a really tough time. I had literally ate lunch by myself. No, it's all right. It's made me strong and made me who I am. I
doesn't it
by myself, 100%.
Lunch by myself, and I developed like a nervous laugh when they went by to pretend that I wasn't bothered until one of them noticed, and it made it even worse.
Yeah.
I spent so much time in the library. You know, I love a book. We're raised with nothing but books in our house. You know, typical, you know, Caribbean father, very strict. Go and do something constructive will be on my father's tombstone. That is his thing. Go and do something constructive. We're not here to have fun in life. Go and do something constructive. Yeah. But when you know friends, you're going to read a book.
Yeah.
Or 2 or 5 or a library. And library was safe because obviously they weren't allowed to be mean to me because they're not meant to be speaking. So I would spend so much time in the school library.
Yeah.
And even when the internet actually first came around, I remember that this is rubbish because I'm searching for stuff that people say you can find and nothing happens. Only years later did I realise I was still inside like the school intranet. I wasn't on the internet. Like, this is rubbish.
Yeah.
But if I'd had friends, I would have been able to figure that out and have these conversations. But
you know.
Oh, yeah. They're following me.
Oh, yeah, of course they are.
Well, no. They've got slid into my DMs. I've had, over the years, even before I got here, I had someone slide into my DMs.
No way.
I wrote something very vicious back because her behaviour was shocking. I got death threats on my 13th birthday.
Oh,
So instead of coming to my little birthday party, they all went to this new girl's house, got a big house with a pool, and, you know, I had taxis and pizzas turn up at my house until gone 1 a.m. and was there on my own. Even
God.
people I've known since primary school, this
Yeah.
is now secondary school, people I'd known from primary still went along with her, almost like a Pied Piper. It was
Yeah.
the first time I'd actually seen that level of manipulative behaviour and that weird hierarchy.
Yeah.
And it turned out she'd left her previous school because she'd been expelled for bullying.
Mm.
And people had no idea.
Right.
And it was incredible that this person thought that they could. This is when Facebook kind of first started.
Yeah.
When you'd actually collate albums and name and put stuff in there from the night before. Like, you know, Bexley Heath Broadway, 2018. No, who's doing this? Who's doing this? I still have them up. It's quite the museum. And she slid into my DMs. And just me. I thought, it's your mind. Now I probably would just ignore it.
Mm.
But in my mid-20s, I still had more of a kraken than I do in me now.
Yeah.
Not letting that go. So I sent her a diatribe. And I said, I'm sure you still have more baggage than Heathrow.
Oh, God.
And honestly, I hope if you have children, they never go through the things
This is
that
it.
me through. You are vile.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll die vile. Because there was no apology. There was no,
No.
you know. Although I was very mean. I said it's hard to see if it is actually you. You do look a lot different to what you did. Thought I'd just be mean. Why not? You're so mean to me. Let me get one in there.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
I was gobsmacked when I saw the name, and it made me feel quite ill because it takes you back, doesn't it?
Exactly.
You go like wind out of your sails
Yeah.
as you remember all of the comments, all of the lonely walks, like 15-minute walk from school to the bus station, seeing your name and a phone number like scrawled into places, and you're like, I've not even kissed anybody, but apparently I'm out here with my buck teeth, double brace, mustache, monobrow, feeling people left, right, and centre. Really? Okay. It's not even by comparison. If you've had it, then you know what it feels like. It's as horrible as it feels.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was, I would have preferred if it had been physical, because I started kickboxing at a young age to defend myself, to learn how to defend myself. I would have sooner that, because I would have happily gone 10 rounds a day than having psychological from women, from young women. What we're capable of doing is horrendous, genuinely horrendous.
So now we have Aunty Simone with us. What's one thing you would say to those people, those kids back in the day?
You know what?
Or now?
I hope you heal. I hope you do better. I really hope your kids are nothing like you. I hope you realise the damage you did. And honestly, I mean now.
Yeah, look at her now.
In spite of everything, just like dust I rise.
Yeah, love that.
But there were many moments that was nearly not the case, you know, and it always upsets me so much when I see any bullying cases that have ended badly, because I'm like, oh no, I know what that feels like. I know what that looks like, which is why my default, as you can obviously tell, is a very loquacious joker. It's always been a default kind of defense mechanism. There's no way you could say anything about me that I've not heard before, or that I wouldn't make a joke about myself.
Yeah.
So very much a defensive thing. And it's difficult because you don't want to be that really irritating person as an adult who, again, is too loud. And as the Caribbeans would say, particularly Jamaicans, small up yourself, you know, make yourself smaller.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard when you're just trying to deflect and you're trying to make sure that you're not hated for no reason. You can't want to people please. And again, that's where the auntie comes from. I'm now at a stage where I will not be people pleasing. I don't care if you don't like me, and you don't need to announce that you're leaving because this is not a fucking airport.
I love it. This is the energy we need.
Kindly exit here or exit here. I don't care. Life is too short. Life is too short, and I would rather spend it with people who do get me, warts and all.
100%.
Life is far too short.
So, you've obviously developed such an amazing life for yourself now. You've moved to Dubai, you've set up everything you've done. One of them notably being No Common Sense, which is a luxury fragrance brand, fragrance is the right term. So talk me through that. What was that been like building and developing and producing?
It's been an incredible journey. I mean, I've been here a decade in a few months' time, which is nuts. It's just nearly a quarter and a bit of my life in the Middle East. And I came here with no job and a suitcase, like the littlest hobo. Keep on calling me. I might as well have had a nap with dots on it. What am I doing? I don't know. I'll figure it out. Stayed in a horrible villa share with the worst Brits you can imagine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a small town, so we know who they are. Hi, how are you? How's it all working out? I know how it's working out for you. But again, people, and I just figured, what is the worst that can happen? I'd seen friends living an incredible life here. They'd done a very different life to me, met someone, got married and had children out here. And amidst a rubbish breakup, I messaged one of them and said, would now be a good time to take you up on your offer? Could I come and visit? You know, I'm a broke PA. I've just had to move back to my mum's after this breakup. I'm living on a sofa. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's end of 2014. I'm like, okay, what do I do? And I'm working 2 PA jobs, pulled together what I could, and I can get 3 days off. That's pretty much all I could afford to lose. And I went and stayed with my friends. Wow. And on the last day, I just sat in a pool in Dubai Marina, in the Address Hotel, looking around. I messaged my mum, and I couldn't have done this without my parents' support. It's not the same for everybody. I'm not so deluded to imagine that it is. One, my passport gives me access to things that people could only dream of. That is a huge privilege. Having my parents has been, I'm so lucky. Both of them are like, spread your wings and fly. Worst thing that can happen is you come back, so what? Exactly. And, there was no guilt tripping. I knew my mum would miss me. My mum was, and still is, my biggest supporter for my new life, and which she's recently discovered share location. So I might have regretted that one. So now you can see exactly where I am and what time I'm getting in. Love you, Mum. It's brilliant. And I messaged her from that pool and said, I'm going to move. So I did. I came back after 72 hours visit, and I resigned 1 month later. Went temping because you can get a bit more money as a temp. Saved up my temp money and left. I think 2 months later. It would have been a month later, but I had so many leaving dues. I got a kidney infection from drinking. I had leaving due for you, leaving due with you. I just living my best life and then made myself sick. So it was postponed a little bit, and I left on April 29th, 2015. And I did lots of office jobs, lots of very intense office jobs. I got in at the top of a very well-known private equity firm, and it was unlike anywhere I've ever worked. The level of intensity, how you're expected to be available, the things that you're expected to pull out of a hat as an EA. I always say that PA stands for psychic ass hat, because people just generally expect you to work complete magic. I'm like, I'm not Doctor Who, and I'm a real TARDIS girl, but I am not Doctor Who. I can't do this. There are definite moments, never thinking that I've made a mistake and I should go back. It always felt like this is the right place for me. I know it isn't for everybody, but for me, it's always felt right. No matter how hard things have got, this has always been right for me. And then a few years ago, the plan was I want to do things that I love. And it's been either designing clothes. I can't draw stick men, but I love fabric. I've worked in fashion schools. Like, I get it. You get the better people to do the technical stuff, but that's incredibly difficult to kind of get into. And the other thing that I've always loved has always been fragrance. It's been an obsession, whether it's the bottles, the history and the stories behind it.
Yeah.
Always been an obsession. And it sort of just came from there. A lot of people started doing it during lockdown, which was really inconvenient for me because it meant supplies were really hard to find because everyone and his wife wanted a hobby. And I'd already started the year before in 2019 teaching myself to chart. So it was unfortunate timing.
Yeah.
Everything disappeared. Supplies were really hard to come by. Freight is incredibly expensive. It absolutely went up during the pandemic. And then I started to practice. And I look back at my earlier ones. I'm like, that's what practice is for. No one is born knowing anything, everything. And it just went from there. But I wanted to do something where they're complex. Like, I know you love your candles. And I'm really looking forward to sending some stuff to you because those are complex. I don't do, I'm sorry, vanilla lavender.
Yeah.
I'm not your girl. I'm sorry. No Common Sense is not for you.
What's your favourite scent that you have?
It's a tie between Sleepover, which has Bulgarian rose. We use a combination of the best of human ingenuity. Mm-hmm. So when people say synthetics, there is this incessant, because the wellness industry is very toxic and knows what it's doing. They're currently scapegoating candles that paraffin is murdering you. It's not. We use coconut soy, but paraffin is not murdering you. I love using the best of man-made, not plastic synthetics, with the best of Mother Nature, because people automatically think that nature means safe. I just want to politely remind them that Mother Nature will put you on your butt. She can kill you. There are things that we all know, people that can't eat chili, dairy, wheat, eggs, lobster. There's some people allergic to pineapples. So we know that Mother Nature doesn't always mean safe. So I created something called the Big Clean Burn Lie, which was all of my research that I found over the years. And I do cite my sources because I love a good fact, right back to my library dwelling days as a kid. Love a good source instead of, but I saw it on TikTok. You don't need to believe me. I want you to go and do your own research because there are people going, I can just make my own essential oil candles. There are some essential oils that shouldn't burn at all because they can release really dangerous stuff for respiratory. It can harm your pets. I have 3 rescues who have cost me an arm and a leg. I'm not about to harm them as much as I would like to strangle them sometimes when I get a paw in my mouth at 5 a.m. Rude.
Yeah.
You would not want to do anything that's going to A, harm yourself or B, harm your loved ones. So I understand that. But it means that the wellness industry has picked up on our fears, like everything. First it was Atkins, now it's keto, now there's always something because there's an angle to upsell you something more expensive.
Exactly.
So I love using expensive stuff mixed with Mother Nature, but the good synthetics. There are no parabens, no phthalates. I'm not using anything that is hormone or anything like that of disruption. I've been sick too long myself with neuro issues. There's no way I'm going to do something for a quick buck that's going to make me sick. Never mind anybody else, but certainly not starting at my own home.
That's amazing. And I think one thing that I really loved about No Common Sense was that you have a dedicated perfume that goes all the way. So Zenith, we're very invested in Palestine. We talk about it all the time. We always have a story about it in every edition. Always talk about it online and social media. So you have one product that you give a portion of your money to Palestine. Is that correct?
Yes. So the Soteria collection, Soteria is a fragrance. It's crushed peach, it's basil. It's a very calming fragrance. And I did not want to center this about ourselves because look, I'm a British woman, but I'm Black and Irish by ancestry. We know exactly what's been going on. And this is something that we were raised at the table with. You know, this is not news to my family. This isn't news in our household. So it's always been a matter of non-negotiable. And I was told as a new brand, you need to be very careful and you shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. You know what? There's 8 billion people on the planet. You do not need to shop with me. I have pinned it on purpose so that people are very, very clear about my stance. And if you don't like it, then it's not a conversation I will be having. The Soteria fragrance, there's 20% of the sale price. I didn't want it to be of the profit. Having worked in a philanthropy consultancy, I know it's a very murky area where people start saying, oh, we're giving X amount of the profit. You don't really know how much that is, do you? Because you don't know what their margins are. You don't know what their profit is. You think you're doing a good thing, but it's a very good way of people to not be transparent. I want to be very, very clear. It is 20% of the price that you see. And it's not going to be a temporary item. It's staying there, full stop. There will be others for other countries because let's face it, the world is a mess right now. For me, I would love to have this as a full-time, you know, eventually I would love to have that as a foundation, as an arm of No Common Sense, that this is exactly what these products go to. You can't take your money with you when you die. You know, I don't understand why when you see billionaires, they're not doing incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Going to the, you know, the nonsense that certain billionaires that are in the public eye right now, imagine the good you could do without trying to sound like I'm trying to audition for Miss Bloody Universe. But look, when I think, oh my God, if I won the lottery, I love a scratch card. But I think, oh my God, I would have my own animal sanctuary. They would be everywhere. Like, I get so buzzing thinking like all the stuff you could do, you could change, even if it's just your circle of influence. But look how big that circle of influence could be.
Exactly.
How much good you could do. Like, I don't get it when people choose that as not as an option. I find it very, you know. It's important to us that we also didn't do something hokey and just going to stick a watermelon on the side of it or make something watermelon scented. It felt that the whole thing just felt so not even authentic. It just felt really disrespectful because this is something really as serious as you can get. I don't want to stick a watermelon sticker on the side of a jar and have it as a temporary thing. Like it took me so long to even record the video because I was just so angry, and it was so important that I'm not centering this rage and making this all about me and how I feel. Because,
is it?
You know, I'm sitting here privileged as heck.
Yeah.
You know, I can't sit there getting mad. So I, in the end, just sounded really exhausted in the video, but it was better than the rage of the previous recording. So yeah, it's been really well received. I hope so, because so many people use that term that it's really authentic and it just, you know, really matters to me, and it doesn't to them, and you can tell that it doesn't because then suddenly it very quietly goes away. I hope people know that it does matter, and where it's going is what also really matters. I've done due diligence. I'm always happy to be corrected because having worked in the charity, the third sector, woo, is it full of charlatans who say they're here to do good and they're not. So it was important that the place that it's going to is on the ground. They're called Hakini. It is a mental health organisation, Arab-speaking organisation, and they are essentially providing psychological first aid for Gazans, for Palestinians on the ground. So again, it's how can you save people just with bread if you haven't saved any minds at all? Who would you call? Who would you go to? If this was happening to you, you would be leaning on your friends and family. If you don't have them anymore, what are you saving? So, I think it matters more than anything else right now.
True. I don't even know how to segue this to the next topic because it's such a sad and upsetting thing. But I would like to move on to something a bit more lighthearted and fun, if that's okay with you. So on the A-Zenith podcast, we always do a section which is fun, lighthearted, and very much geared towards the guest. So you are Aunty. So this section I like to call Aunty Knows Best.
I mean,
so I'm going to give you some scenarios that a lot of our viewers and our readers have sent in to us.
Amazing.
And I would like for you to respond to them as a for Aunty. So,
loved.
So the first one I've called the partner problem. So, Aunty Simone, I feel like my partner's been distant lately. They're always glued to their phone, and I'm not sure how to bring it up with them without starting an argument. What should I do?
I think it depends on how long you've been together.
Mm-hmm.
And how long have they been behaving like that? And have you noticed any other... Are they being secretive about their phone, or are they just spending a lot of time on it? I know no one ever wants to do the hard stuff, but the hard stuff is having that conversation and saying, not in anger, because it will never come across right, and not on WhatsApp, because you lose tone completely. Yeah. When you're next sitting with them, go, do you have a minute? I just want to talk to you about something. And immediately they'll be kind of like on their guard, because when someone says we need to talk, it doesn't matter what your age or where you're from, it's never really, it's probably not a good thing. Do it when you're mad, because you're going to be irate. You might be sitting there watching them on their phone, getting more and more vexed. Don't do it then. But just have a conversation and say, are we cool? Is everything right with us right now? Because I'm feeling like your attention when you're with me is kind of focused on something else. And if there's something really fun, something you're finding funny, I'd like to see it. I'd like to share it. Is there something that you're newly interested in? Is it a podcast or something that we could watch or listen to together? And see how they are. Approach it from a place of calm rather than going in like,
awful.
You're ignoring me, and this is how I'm feeling. Try and put across how you have been feeling. Don't downplay it, because if you're vexed or if you're upset, it's for a reason. Don't downplay that, but try not to come at it as an attack, because people then can go immediately on the defense.
Okay, perfect. And the next one is, I've called it the flaky friend. Okay.
Oh.
So in Dubai, I think coming across friends is something very integral in keeping sane. So someone said, Aunty Simone, my best friend keeps bailing on our plans, and it's starting to hurt. I don't want to make it a big deal, but I also feel like they don't really care, and I want to bring it up with them. What should I do without sounding too needy? Hard one, right? I struggle with that.
It's a really hard one, because once you've said something, you know that you can't take it back. And once you raise something, it's now out there. Now it has to be addressed. And a lot of the time, we let friends get away with a lot of shabby behaviour, especially if they're friends we've known for a long time, or, you've got lots of mutuals. You let people's behaviour run and run and run, because it's that awkward to have to say something. But honestly, there's 8 billion people on the planet. You will find someone who is your person, and sometimes you do outgrow people. And them you, and as painful as that is, they're entitled to feel that way as you are with you. You're always going to find sometimes you can grow apart. I would broach them, again, not on WhatsApp. You don't want to ambush somebody, and just check in with them and say, how are you doing? Is everything all right with you right now? They could be withdrawing and flaking for all sorts of reasons that you don't even know about. They could not be in a great place mentally and emotionally. They could be under stress at work, too embarrassed to say. A lot of the time, not even just in Dubai, people build up their lives like it's so incredible. They couldn't possibly have any problems. And especially if that person is very into social media, they're out there putting across that they're at the restaurants, ladies' nights, drinks, beach, out. That whole... Reels are not real life. So they might seem like everything is fine on the surface.
Yeah.
And it's actually not. Again, communication, ask how they are. Someone might not have asked them for a really long time. How are you doing right now? Because I'm feeling like there's a bit of a distance growing. And if it's me, I'd like us to talk about it. Don't go in gun blazing like, oh, you've been ignoring me. And you have no idea what's going on with people, even your closest of people.
True.
Ask how they're doing.
Communication, good. That's really good. I have two more. One a bit weird and one a bit...
Love weird.
Yeah.
Shit.
Okay, so this one I've named Wedding Woes. So Aunty Simone, my partner and I, firstly, before I say this, I want to say we're both ethnic. We know how families deal with weddings. Also, me being Pakistani, I know the pressure this person is feeling. So Aunty Simone, my partner and I just want a small wedding, but both of our families are pushing for something massive. I don't want to upset them, but it's really stressing me out. How do I get them off my back?
You know what? Part of me would be like, just elope and then all the consequences, but you and I know they would upset an awful lot of people. Again, it really depends. Are they supportive of you generally throughout the rest of your life? I know my mum would be really hurt if I eloped. She adores the bones of my partner, but she would be really sad if we did decide to get engaged and we did just disappear and do it and came back and was like, oh, we're done, let's have a party. I'm sure she'd come around, but I know she would feel sad that she's missed out on, even if it was a registry size wedding, to not do it at all and not involve them would be really difficult. Is there a compromise? Would you be able to say, okay, look, we want to keep this bit small? Because you know what it's like with the aunties, they're going to start inviting 50 people, and that turns to 150 people. You're like, I don't even know you people. And obviously, who's paying for this as well?
Exactly.
Ask if there's a compromise and say, we want the people that we love the most to see our incredible day. We don't want all and sundry, but maybe we could have a bigger reception. Would you like to be involved in helping me with decor? Involve them in the smaller things that, let's face it, who cares what napkins look like? They're napkins. But things that might appease people, especially the aunties, and still make them feel like they're involved. But at the end of the day, this is your big day, and that should be the main thing that works. Do not get pushed into something that's going to leave you with anxiety on your big day. No one needs that. Don't start your time like that. And also speak to your partner. How does your partner feel about it?
Yeah, nice. My sister, just side note, had 550 people at her wedding.
Oh! I mean, we have 550 people on my blocked list, but I certainly don't have 550 people.
I don't think I even know 550 people.
I know. Wow.
But my dad was like, let's invite him, let's invite his wife, let's invite their kids. Let's invite next door neighbours, aunties, uncles, daughters, sisters, dogs, best friends.
Everyone bring a Tupperware. Oh my gosh, no.
Exactly.
That's a lot. I have been to many, many, many fabulous weddings, and Indian and Pakistani weddings always going to be the best. I'm like, how many days is this exactly? Yeah. How many outfits do I pack? But it's so intense because look how many people are there. I didn't even relax on my 40th birthday a couple of years ago, and it was my closest lot. Everyone there I've known forever. Worrying about, are people having a good time? Is everyone okay?
Yeah.
I was so glad when it was actually over, and that was just an evening for my birthday. Wow.
All right. And last one.
Go on.
This one I've called Work Worries. So, Aunty Simone, my co-worker is stressing me out in meetings and making my ideas sound like their own. I want to speak up, but I'm scared it will backfire on me. What's the best way to handle this?
Okay, so it always depends on the relationship you have with the person and also how strong your HR is, because if this needs to be escalated formally, it can go through proper channels. If they are absolutely stealing your work, you don't raise it in the meeting because it's never going to come across well, and they know what they've done. So they probably have something pre-prepared. I would take them aside and say, have you got a minute? And if they say no, we go, we're going to find a minute. Just going to go have a cup of tea and say, I'm sure you're aware that there are some really close overlap to my work with what you've presented. Now, I don't want this to be a thing, but this needs to stop because this is actual theft of work. And I've worked incredibly hard on that. I appreciate that you find my work inspiring. That's actually really flattering to me. I'd be happy to give you some tips and some hints, but outright stealing my work and palming it off as your own anywhere outside in any industry, this would be considered plagiarism. This would be theft. And respectfully, it needs to stop. Yeah. I don't want to have to make this a formal thing with HR. I don't know how the directors are going to view this when they realise this has happened. You let it happen once and halas, it's the last time. Once and that was it. Because if you don't grow a backbone and you have a wishbone where your backbone should be, it keep happening. So you nip it in the bud very respectfully and politely. If it happens again, straight on and file. You have to make it official. Don't start getting mad. Don't start getting angry on Messenger with them. Very respectful and polite so that they can't say anything that you said, he said, she said. Yeah. Keep it respectful and polite, but firm. And again, throw in a little compliment there that, I appreciate that you see the work that I've put in, given that you've used it as your own.
That's important. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Sometimes people aren't always coming from a nasty perspective. Yeah. It's insecurity. They don't know how to do the things that you've done. Success leaves clues, but a lot of us sometimes don't know where to start or who to ask. And who knows, sometimes people genuinely are not coming from a malicious place. Yeah. But you need to make sure that this does not become a thing.
Yeah. My mum used to always say to me, I can't remember the phrase, I don't really listen very much, but she used to say to me, mockery is the highest form of flattery. That's right. Right. Yeah. So I always think if someone's copying you, then that means you're doing something right and they're doing something wrong. So I think to confront, I always believe in not confrontation, but I believe in confronting people and standing your ground. So yeah.
Absolutely. You need to have as my old man's always called it, you have a line in the sand that they do not cross. You need to know what that line is. I'm very intentional about who I am. It's very obvious who I am, the things I love, the things I don't. It's always so amazing to me when people do you wrong and then they're shocked when you no longer speak to them. It's like, what part of your behaviour did you ever think would fly? Yeah. I'm so confused. Where have you been for 15 years? Really? Did you miss a memo? How am I not very intentional? You should always be intentional about these are your boundaries. I'm not saying you lock people off at every single thing. You won't always agree with people on everything. I am very anti-fox hunting. One of my closest friends is from a very different farming background, completely different to city me, and has a very different outlook on it. And we've agreed that, you know what? We're not going to talk about it because we're not going to agree. We're coming from different angles, but the rest of us, me and her, love the bones of each other, and have done for 28 years. So you have to know when these things matter and when they don't. Yeah. Yeah. Having people copy your stuff, it always feels a bit icky because you're like, but that's my credit.
Exactly.
I should be getting. And obviously no one wants to be overlooked at work because you're there to work and show that you're good at what you do. So it's not about being childish. It's not like you're in school, someone copying. It matters when you're at work because it's how you get ahead. Exactly. And unfortunately, there will always be those people at work who will stomp on you and trample you like weeds. So you have to be very polite and clear and firm that I appreciate you, but no.
Well, thank you, Aunty Simone, for being on the A-Zenith podcast.
You are
and you had a lovely conversation.
It has been a joy. Will make sure that my nieces, who are 10, 7 and 5, I think, or 10, 7 and 6, all listen to this, but they have to sit there pretending that they care, learning to behave as adults.
Before you leave, I would love to see your No Sense perfumes.
I have some with me. Now look, so there's always samples lurking around my house, but...
Oh, wow, very luxe.
So we have...
Is that an eagle at the top, right?
Yes. So
I love that.
we have a Emirati Dala, well, an Arab, sorry, apologies everybody, an Arab-esque Dala, which is obviously the sign of hospitality. Immediately, any Arab home you go into, you will be greeted with so many things. And you're like, please, I cannot drink any more coffee. I won't sleep for 6 months.
Yeah.
But beautiful coffee Dala. And inside, if you can see, there is a little English rose. The beautiful roses my grandfather used to plant in his retirement. He was a gardener. I used to potter around after him. We have dragonfly, because have you ever seen a dragonfly wings? It's a very obscure random question.
I have, yeah.
People, if you haven't, if you look, go on Pinterest, dragonfly wings. They look like lace.
Yeah.
It's lace combined with like a stained glass window from a cathedral. It's so beautiful. And I used to be so scared of them because they're like, oh, you're like, oh God, no. They seem terrifying. But now that I'm older, I'm like, you know what? They're actually beautiful. So we have those. We have a little Emirati falcon as a little nod to where we're from. We have a Guyanese hummingbird.
Wow.
Lots of different birds that you get in Guyana, amongst many other things that will probably eat you. And we have a little British sparrow.
No.
My printing guy referred to as very small fat bird, ma'am. I'm trying to design something beautiful. He's like, ma'am, make the bird very less fat. He's too much fat. Like, listen, Jed, do not call him small fat bird. Ma'am, make him less fat. You leave my fat sparrow, okay? My British sparrow that I grew up with, you leave him alone. Everything is with intention, as quirky and weird as it looks.
Yeah.
So you then have the same
Beautiful.
all over our little curtains. And then it opens into Rio. And you can take the cardboard out because I want everything to be as sustainable as possible.
Yeah.
We're currently looking at sugarcane for labelling.
Nice.
So I'm taking it one step further for this year. So you now have a trio set, and we have
beautiful
lots of different sets. We have 4 different sets at the moment. So you have the Spa collection, you have the Beauty of the Emirates collection, Gardens of the World, and the Private Members Club for things that are a bit more smoky, a bit more leather. We have, I think, around 10 fragrances live at the moment. This is the classic size. You can see it's much bigger than the travel size.
Yeah.
Travel set is perfect for small bathrooms, but you can see
stunning,
much bigger, our gorgeous thick size. And we have our pouches because I really want to minimize plastic. I hate it. It's going to be around for 450 years after our demise. So anytime I can minimize that, you just get a pouch and then you put it in our bottle instead. And then that way you can just buy as many pouches as you like. I have little ones in the car because who wants to be sitting in traffic stressed and feel a little more calm. But lots of exciting things coming this year.
Amazing. Well, I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you, Aunty Simone, for being on A-Zenith. Well, on that, I'll leave you to it. Thank you for joining the podcast. So have a fabulous evening and see you all soon.
Take care.